Hey guys. Um, I've been recently inspired to talk about my story. Not a testimony, but I want to talk about my life story. 'Cause I've kind of my life. It's a little different than the average person. Um, there's a lot of interesting stuff that's happened in my life. Um, yeah. Where to start? Um, there was a Okay, we're gonna go to the earliest memories. Actually, no. We're gonna start from about like when I have concrete detail of what I remember about, and that being the when I was in, I want to say it was like kindergarten. That was when life was a little interesting for me, cause I had I had life. I was living. I was alive, but I I wasn't really doing. So it's like kindergarten rolls around, and my dad wasn't ever really in my life. He kind of just wasn't there. Uh what I'm trying to get at there is that like I had a divorced parents, divorced household. I didn't I grew up with two different households, and that made things a little difficult, especially when it came to just a little boy wanting control because he doesn't understand what's going on. Um, I'm sure some of you guys can understand where that feels and how that understands, but yeah, that's how some things just ended up in my life. I just happened to be the kid that had two separate parents. I felt like an outcast. I couldn't um I couldn't make friends like the average person could because of the fact that I just like they wouldn't stick. Um because I was such a weird kid. Mind you guys, I have ADHD. My ADHD is so severe that they say that I have autistic traits. And for those of you that don't know what that means, I have full-blown ADHD, which the attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And what that means is I struggle with focusing, and when I do focus, I big time focus. I don't like not focus. And the fun thing with that is that the fun thing with that is the fact that what was it? Um I struggle to keep friends because it's like I don't I'm constantly moving from subject to subject, and I'm constantly forgetting. Um and that becomes a real struggle for me in life because I want to have friends, but I can't because like I can't hold on to them. I remember um having friends that would just use me because I didn't understand what friendship meant. Um yeah. And Then with the autistic traits part is the fact that I can sit there and I retain lots of useless information. I absorb information like a sponge. It's just how I work. My brain works better for numbers and math. It's just who I am. I love that kind of stuff. I love math. It is so much fun for me. So now that you guys know a little bit about my life and stuff, I'm going to now go back into the story. Because already you can tell that I have ADHD with how much I just jumped around. But, sorry, I'm a little under the weather. Well, not really under the weather. My throat's a little sore, but that's fine. And it's quiet in this household. So, yeah. And so kindergarten is here, and I actually end up going to 2 different schools in kindergarten. The first one I go to doesn't have anything for my behavioral problems. They taught me that I could flip a desk and I could go home, because you know what? Home is your safe place at that spot when you're that young. And that was the only means of control I had. So guess what? I would use it. It's, looking back on it, I regret it, but who else would I be today if I didn't do that? And then first grade rolls around, and first grade rolls around, and I just like kind of what was it? So there's still the custody battle that's going on with my mom and dad, and so my dad gets custody over me for that year, and it's kind of like an utter shit show, because he tells me that I can be treated like an adult, and so I do, and I get all these responsibilities. And in first grade, and he was physically abusive to me. There are times where like I still can't even handle loud noises anymore. Like people yelling, it gets scary for me sometimes, just a little bit. But yeah. Oh, the sky is beautiful with these shaders. Sorry. But yeah. A lot of stuff happened in first grade. Not much. Still not really any friends. I didn't really get any friends until I was in 3rd grade. And so then I get to 2nd grade, and that's when I come back and living with my mom. I've been with my mom since, but I come back living with my mom, and things are going great. They're going decently. I'm still having physical outbursts for lack of control, because I don't know what's going on. No one ever explains it to me. And so then later I go to 3rd grade, and then I go to a school that somehow accepts me for what I am. It starts to teach me things. I actually start to learn. That's when I started to meet friends. Some of you guys might know an old face on my channel. His name is Nick, or Nick Tack, or Nick the Tack. He's my best friend. He's one of them. He's been in my life since third grade, and that's like over 10 years now, or I mean about 10 or 11 years now, which is wild to think about. But yeah, that's how long he's been in my life. Oopsie. Whatever. I'm gonna put my LA up here. But yeah, that's why I have my LA attached to a lead. My bad. But yeah. Third grade was there. So fourth grade was when I started to actually stop doing physical outbursts at school and stuff, and people stopped being as afraid of me, and which is great. Made me happy about that people weren't as afraid of me. And the nice part about that was that I wasn't much of a social outcast. That part bothers me. I really want to make that wood, but whatever. But then fifth grade rolls around. That's normal. Then we have sixth grade. Sixth grade was a big stump in my life. And with it being a stump in my life, I kind of... It was a bad time. It was not good for me. I joined crowds I shouldn't have been in. I was a bully. I wasn't kind. I was mean to people, and I started to become bullied as well. And they didn't give me the supports I needed to grow and thrive. So that school really sucked for me. And then I moved schools for 7th grade. And apparently my best friend still with me. He moved schools at the same time, which is like so cool. But oh, I'm so sorry for coughing into the mic. My bad. But yeah, we both moved schools at the same time. And the interesting thing about that was the school we moved to was wonderful. It was immaculate. And that was when I also started to find my way in life with God. Was not at that school, but like during that time. I started to actually not just go to church to go to church. I went to church and I started to volunteer. That was when I started to do the audiovisual team. That was when I started to work with cameras. That's when I started to understand perspectives and learn. And that's when I started to grow in faith as well. I've been born and lived in a Christian household all my life, though. But with 7th grade also being there, I decided to become a social recluse. I talked to barely anyone. It was social anxiety. That was it. It wasn't just social anxiety, but it was also under the facade of me trying to rebuild my personality, so I wasn't sitting there constantly swearing, wasn't being mean to people. Yeah. And then that carries through to 8th grade. And then COVID hits for me. And that's when we all went into lockdown. I kind of lost my way with God after that point. Stopped going to church, stopped having a community. I mean, I would try to hang out with my friends online, but like none of us, we never really hung out. In fact, one of my best friends moved away, and I still haven't seen him since. I miss that man. But yeah, lost my way with God during that time. And then ninth grade is there. That also same thing. Same thing at as the end of 8th grade. 8th grade was great until COVID hit. That was what I'm trying to get at. And then I have ninth grade. Ninth grade's all COVID. I apparently did better than a lot of people did at online stuff, which crazy to me to think about that I could. But whatever. I ain't gonna sit there and critique that. But I do want to say that ooh, I already forgot what I was gonna say. Whatever. We're gonna move on to 10th grade. 10th grade is where things start to get wild. That is when I find what I want to do in life, but that's also when I find myself furthest away from God. It's where I find where God calls me to be and to do, and also find myself being the furthest away from God. Some of you guys might be like, what? But that's exactly what it is. It's really interesting. God appears and talks to us at the most inconvenient of times. Yeah. The most inconvenient of times. And oh, this is pretty. Sorry. That the amount that I want to just sit here and take screenshots and start doing videography. I mean, I could, but it would be very difficult for me to sit there and try to talk while I'm doing videography or something like that. I mean, first off, this is my house, by the way. It looked small from the side, but there's 4 stories. There's a whole basement. This is 2nd floor. Here is the 1st floor. I started the video in the basement. You've seen me with the LA in the top floor. This is Delilah, my little mule. I bred her myself. Yeah. Yeah. This is strawberry boba tea. And I'm going to continue with 10th grade. So 10th grade, wonderful year. That is when I felt like I was being... Well, that's when I wanted a girlfriend. I've wanted a partner all my life. And... Wow, it feels lonely here. But, yeah, I've wanted a partner all of my life. I suffer from loneliness. I'm not going to be the first to say that, but I say that now. I suffer from loneliness. I have a hard time with actually even reaching out because I've had so many people leave me. I've been rejected from so many events, so many things, that it's like I don't trust someone if they tell me that that they invite me to something or that they'll stay. I don't mean to, I just don't. And it's a me thing? Sorry, I had to get some water. But, oh, you guys better stay hydrated. I better slurp up some water right now. So your reminder. But yeah, back to the story. And so everything's going great. I find this teacher. All of my teachers, I love all my teachers. They inspire me. That was, I was taking Algebra 1. No, I was taking Algebra 2 and Geometry in my sophomore year. I'm skipping this song. My sophomore year. And I found a girl in geometry. We bonded over Minecraft. It was precious, yet not. This is when I was, I think, 16. It was both precious and not precious at the same time. Mind you, I'm far away from God at this point right now. I get even further away from God in this relationship. And it's a very abusive relationship, not in a like physical sense. It's a mental abuse kind of a thing, because the person I ended up dating was is a narcissist, and it was a very toxic relationship where they would control me, and that led all the way through junior year. During that relationship, I had intercourse, lots of intercourse. If you know what that means, you know what that means. Looking back on it, I didn't want that. And it felt kind of forced upon me. Yeah. And then it led me to dark things, because she would also sit there and tell me that I shouldn't hang out with my friends anymore because all of them made her uncomfortable. So I wouldn't hang out with my friends, and then I would get even lonelier. And then she would make me codependent on her, and then she wouldn't be there for me. And then I would get into some dark headspaces. And so I went to paganism. Yes, you heard that right. I went to paganism. I wanted to die and go to Valhalla, because I learned that if you died in an honorable way, you could go to Valhalla in that time. It was an excuse to be suicidal. Or sewer-slidal. If that makes sense. Yeah, it's a little bit of dark theme. I should have made a warning, but we got some more dark themes coming up, guys. If you want to skip, you guys can. I am not editing this video. This is going to be completely raw. So yeah, I ended up self-harming quite a bit. And then I left that relationship, which I'm happy I did. Then I got into a job, and that job was great. I liked that job. That was a nice job. I got into that job. That job helped me get purpose. Yet I'd still go drive my car, go 100 miles per hour down the highway. Mind you, that highway that I would go down kills about 4 people per year. hoping that I would be one of those numbers at some point. And hey, I'm still here today. I'm glad I'm still here today. There was one time, I mean, what got me to come back to God. This is what brought me back to Jesus was I was going about 150 miles per hour down not interstate, but the highway. And a semi pulls out, and this is at night. And with my car being not low enough to clear underneath a semi, it is low though. It is low enough for my car to clear underneath it, except for my neck and above. My neck would smack straight on the bottom of the carriage or the trailer. So if I went through there at 150 miles per hour, I would have been decapitated. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have a head. And I was going, and gosh, why is this so hard to say? I was going and I was praying, or just, I was more crying out. I was saying something or someone, please help me. And I felt God again. No words said, just felt love. And then I pushed the brake in. Because I'm gonna devote myself to God again. And that's what I did. I started to doom scroll onto Instagram, and I started to get more Christian stuff. And the more Christian stuff I got, the more close it felt. Now Instagram is a little weird when it comes to being Christian, but I need to not have that app, or else I'm gonna sit there and doom scroll. It's so hard because I have so many friends that use it for communication. Mind you, that all this happens in the summer of like 2 or 3 years ago. Or no. Yeah, no, it did. Summer 2023. And or I mean like late summer, like the start of fall, during fall, somewhere around there. So my senior year, I devote myself back to Christ, to God. A little interesting fact: Christ is short for Christus, which is Latin for king. So when you have like places like Christ the King, they just say King the King, which I think is a little funny, but that's just a little goofy nerd moment. Also a little nerd moment. Amen. The English form of that is let it be said. That is basically what it means. And when you replace it, it makes sense. But yeah, senior year, I devote myself to God some more. And yeah, I devote myself to God more. I go back to church. and I start volunteering again. That's when I meet my mentor now. I'm not gonna say his name, but you could find him somewhere. His name is Buff Haggard. He's great. Love that man. Yeah, that's where I meet my modern day mentor, and he teaches me all sorts of fun stuff. And I learn more about cameras. I learn the lighting board that they have. I learn how to set things up. I learn more about all the audiovisual stuff. I love doing all that technical stuff with the audiovisual team. It is some of my favorite stuff ever. Oh, it put me in AFK. Man. But yeah, all that audiovisual stuff I would do, and I would enjoy doing it. It's one of my favorite things that I would do. Working audiovisual. Well, that hurt. Alright, we good. Yeah, I worked on all the audiovisual stuff. And I still do that now. In fact, as of me making the video, which is like very late at night this morning, I was able to video direct, which was actually a lot of fun. Video directing is one of my favorite things to do now. And then I'm learning and doing things, and then I come across I learn about my favorite quote. Favorite verse in the Bible. It's Ephesians 4:29 through 32. Let me grab my Bible. I don't have it on hand, which I probably should have, but I am doing this on the spot, to be honest. This is not scripted at all. Absolutely not scripted. Some people might say, like, you're bold for not doing that scripted, man. And I'm like, you're so right, brother. It's Ephesians after or before Romans. Ooh. You have Galatians, there's Ephesians. So Ephesians 4:29 through 32, at least in the New Living Translation, because I like this, I like the format. It says, don't use foul or abusive language. Let everything you say be good and helpful, so that your words will be an encouragement to those who hear them. And do not bring sorrow to God's Holy Spirit by the way you live. Remember, He has identified you as His own, guaranteeing that you will be saved on the day of redemption. Get rid of all bitterness, rage, anger, harsh words, and slander, as well as all types of evil behavior. Instead, be kind to each other, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, just as God, through Christ, has forgiven you. Yeah. And so, I'm living life. And then I get to October of 2024. Oh, but before that, I go to Germany, and I go to, Austria, Iceland, and France. And I enjoy those countries. I want to go to Germany. I want to go back to Germany. I miss it. I have a lot of German friends that I need to meet. And I come back to the US. Gross. Gross. I come back to the US, and about a month later, I come back in September. About a month later, I meet this girl. Or I mean this person. Gotta be respectful to the way they want to present themselves, but I meet them, and we get into this relationship. And frankly, I should have gotten out of that relationship earlier, but because they would sit there and they wouldn't be very kind to my beliefs. They weren't Christian. And I stopped really, like, enjoying their presence when this first incident happened, when they decided to, without letting me know, they decided to go drinking with their friends. And then they said that they were also going to be meeting and hanging out with me at a certain time to play Minecraft and stuff. And then they decided to not show up. They decided to stand me up. And then they also went completely radio silent for hours on end. And then they decided to tell me that they were afraid of my reaction of them drinking, and that they didn't eat anything beforehand, and so they decided to drink without food in their system. And it really was hard for me because I felt betrayed. I felt lied to, and then they hid from me right after. Right after they lied to me, they hid. Or I mean, right after they wronged me, they decided to hide. And then they tried to cover it up with saying that they didn't want me to be angry, which I wouldn't be. I'm not an angry person. I don't like to be angry. And yeah, that was when I started to that was the first time I actually felt my heart feel like it was gonna break. And then yeah, April of this year, she ends up breaking up with me because I apparently would force her into a mold, even though I would set up a boundary. But that was their choice. But I shouldn't have dated her in the first place because she was a partier and I wanted to settle and have kids. Yeah. And then summer rolls around. And I'm still, I forgot to say, I'm taking a gap year. I start college, like, I think this next week, but as of recording. And yeah. Ooh, what was it? What was I gonna say? Yeah, and then summer rolls around this year, summer of 2025. Halfway through the summer, there's nothing for me to do. I'm sitting here doing absolutely nothing. And I pray this prayer. I ask God to close doors that He doesn't want me to do, close opportunities that He doesn't want me to go, and then open opportunities that would help me with Him, help me with my path towards Him, my path of understanding Him, and not understanding Him, but more of my path of like what He wants me to do. And so every job I applied to didn't ever get back to me until I got to this one that was a Christian summer camp. And they didn't even ask me if I wanted the job. They just said, hey, be here at this time. And I'm like, cool. Well, I was there at that time. And I was meeting a lot of people. I didn't feel like I really fit in. And then I met one of my friends from there. He's a cool dude. His camp name is Rainbow Dash. Yeah. It's one of those camps with like goofy names and stuff. And that was also when I got my first physical like Bible. I used to never have a Bible until now. I now have a Bible. And I I learned a lot. I learned a lot. I would also spend a lot of time sitting there reading my Bible. I read through 1st and 2nd Peter along with Ephesians, along with Revelation. Revelation's my favorite book. And yeah. So then that gets over with, and then I get home, and then I completely skipped something. I've struggled with my lust all of my life. I don't let it take advantage of me, but when it comes to corn, call it corn. When it comes to corn, um I'm sure some of you guys know. Um I've struggled with that since I was in third grade. The longest I've gone without it was I think a month, and then I just regress. And every time I'm home, I regress. I've been working on it, and it's actually gotten way better. And it's actually way better, but I still regress from time to time. I don't remember what the word is called, but I'm just gonna call it regress. Um, yeah, I still regress from time to time. And the just for the people out there that do struggle with that, you're not alone. It's a very difficult struggle. Trust me, I know. um, it's a difficult struggle. And yeah, so I get out of that, and then I'm back to my habit of doom scrolling, which is, to be honest, not a healthy habit. And yeah, it's not a very healthy habit at all. and I start doom scrolling, and then I find this person named Malocraft, taking my favorite game and infusing Jesus into it. Minecraft and Jesus. Malocraft. And um I'll tag them in this video, but I hope you guys go check her out. She's the reason why I'm actually even doing this video in the first place, recording it, and she's the reason why I'm even on this server. This server's been such a helpful community for me to actually grow and feel not alone, because there's not a lot of Christian gamers I've found out there, but this is really nice. And uh yeah, I love it on this server. I'm not gonna stress that enough. I love it on this server. Everyone's really cool. One of my favorite people on here, it's gotta be a tie between a person named Gizmo Maddie and Sheep of Jesus. Um, both of them are really cool people. In fact, Gizmo Maddie's house is like right over there. You can see it right there. That's their house. Or I mean her house. Sorry, I am so used to using gender neutral terms. Um, so used to using it for everyone. I don't mean it to offend anyone, but I will say it, won't mean it as a mean thing. That's what I'm used to. Um, especially when I haven't met a person in person. Then I'm like, well, gender neutral terms. Uh, but yeah, I'm here in this server. This server is called Kingdom Crafters. Yeah. Oh, wait, do they have a cross in there? That's cool. But yeah, this is some of the people that's on here. Don't bully any of them. I think it's cool. And yeah, this is the video. And that is where we are today. Now I want to show you some cool builds. So we're gonna slash let's do the longhouse. Oh, I didn't close the door. So this is a Christian-based longhouse that I made because I love Viking stuff. But it's also really cool to make Christ stuff, Christ-centered stuff. This took a lot of wood to make, and it's decently big. The cool part is you can easily get away with making these in the shape of a cross. Like, you can see the cross here. And then I made, there's what I call mini Endor, which because there's a whole part of this community that they love Star Wars, so I made a um mini like Ewok thing, or like Kashyyyk. It reminded some of the people on here of like Kashyyyk or the Ewoks and stuff. But yeah, this is my little spot. This is my house, and this is the world that I choose to be in. And yeah, I I thank you for watching and getting to the end of this video. If you haven't already, you can if you like my content and stuff, you can hit a follow or anything. You don't have to. Doesn't matter. I'm just here to spread the word. And that's what I'm going to be doing for content going forward, is spreading the word of God. And I'm going to probably be using Minecraft as my medium as well. I love it on Minecraft. I've been playing Minecraft for so long. I like how my donkey, or I mean my mule, is just sitting there. My mule's great. But yeah, thank you for watching. Bless your faces and deuces. I love you all. Have a magnificent rest of your day.